The What's Eating You podcast is a series of mental health topics that are designed to make you think, learn, educate, and validate. Enjoy the show. Do you believe in manifesting? I certainly do. And today I'm going to talk about it. And I have a special guest on the show, my dad, who also believes in manifesting. Welcome to the show, Dad.
Hello, everybody. Good morning from Chile, 12 degrees on the way to the airport.
We are on the way to the airport and thought we would record another episode. Basically, we were having a discussion about manifesting, or I was, because I'm not sure if you've seen, but I did have a video that went a little bit viral on TikTok. This is on a separate TikTok page. I just upload comedy and funny things. And Dad might sneeze because he's on a bit of a sneezing rampage this morning. So if you hear some sneezes in the background, don't get scared. The Greek parent sneeze is very loud. It's very scary. But anyways, as mentioned, I had come up with a hack I believe gets you upgraded to business class. And I thought I'd share it on social media. And Daily Mail got a hold of it, and then news.com got a hold of it. And then Sky News interviewed me in Brisbane for it. And last night when I went to bed, I bid for a business upgrade. So my theory is, to save you having to go watch the other videos, is that you bid the night before or you bid last minute. So a bid means you get an email from the airline that says, would you like to be upgraded? Bid for an upgrade now. And then there's a dial and you can select how much you want to upgrade or how much you want to pay for an upgrade. Now, this used to be $25 with Rex. So I fly with Rex Airways. They are amazing. They give you free snacks. They give you 23 kilos of luggage, 7 kilos of plain luggage, carry-on. And they're just awesome. They give you tea, coffee, and they've always gone on time. They're just a great, great airline. This is not a sponsored airline mention or anything. And last night when I bid, it's gone up. The minimum you can bid is $55. And my theory is if you bid last minute, if there's a seat available, they're not going to care whether they give it to you for $55 or $300. And it worked. I woke up this morning after visualizing last night that I was going to wake up, look at my phone and see an email saying you have been upgraded. I took myself through that. I imagined it. I imagined seeing it. I imagined sitting in business class. I imagined the lady saying to me, would you like sparkling water or still water or champagne? And then I would proceed to say either still water or sparkling water. Now, I was curious to know if manifesting runs in families. Now, this is not psychological advice or anything like that, but basically I was curious to know if parents or my parents also do the same thing. So I remember as a kid, like mum would always say, imagine this or tell yourself this or do this. And that's why I've got Dad on. So Dad, first of all, do you believe in manifesting?
Well, I can only tell you my experience, which has stayed with me all these years. I was 6 years old because I was in the very first grade. That's how I remember it. And it was Easter time back home in Cyprus. And our school was one building with one large classroom, and in that there was grade 1 and grade 2 sharing the same room because that's all there was. And the teacher said, being Easter, we go into a raffle, a nice basket with eggs and things like that for Easter, and we had to pay a penny. In those days, a penny. Well, I did have a penny, and I bought a ticket, and I remember every night, before I went to bed, I would say, please, God, I want to win the Easter basket. I want to win the Easter basket. And I actually did this nearly every night. I really put an effort into, and guess what? And the thing that, that amazed me.
What amazed you?
Okay. When you think about it and you do the maths, they didn't just pull a ticket which had a copy of the numbers, you know what I mean? The stuff, like they do it nowadays. In those days, that I remember the teacher said, okay, we've sold about 100 tickets or whatever it was. And she said, okay, so what we'll do, we'll write on a little piece of paper the numbers from 1 to 10, and we'll add another 0. So that will make it, and we'll pick 3 numbers, 3 tickets, 3 pieces of paper. Now, I remember I was the first to buy the ticket, and my ticket was 001.
Oh, that's like the worst.
Yeah. And I'm thinking, no, they're going to pull 3 tickets, 3 numbers. I've got no chance of getting this. No way. I mean, think about it. So she calls out one of our fellow students there. They pulled the ticket, and it was a 0. The second person to pull a ticket pulls a 0. And
No way.
yes, and my heart is beating by now. And the third one pulls a 1. So my ticket, a 001, I still remember it. It's 67 years. My God.
Oh my gosh. And you won the Easter hamper.
Yes.
What were you feeling and thinking at the time? Do you remember?
Yes, I do, because I remember it was a nice basket with a big handle, and it had this lovely crispy cellophane. I didn't know what it was then, but I loved it because it was crispy, and shiny, and made this funny crackling noise. And I carried it because we used to walk to school from home. It would have been 2 or 3 kilometers, I would say. Walk to school all the way, proudly holding it, and showed it to mom and dad. I was so on top of the world.
I love that. And what did your parents say?
Well, I told them the story. They were very, very excited too. They were very proud. But my parents in those days are not like the parents of today. There wasn't a lot of physical or emotional, hugs and maybe a kiss, but not as we do today. It was different. And that's the thing I do reminisce at times, and I regret, because I didn't have the physical love, kisses from my mom, my dad. It was more, I don't know how to explain it.
More like words of affirmation, or?
Yes. There wasn't a show of affection. That's the word, affection.
That surprises me. Well, congrats on winning the Easter basket, but also you and mum are very affectionate. And I guess we were thinking about topics to talk about today, and we'll come back to the manifesting, but I was thinking about parenting, right? Because obviously a lot of parents from your generation had trauma and issues, and then a lot of parents from my generation had trauma and issues. But you weren't from affectionate household as you've described, but you and mum were very affectionate to us growing up. How did you change? Because normally the cycle doesn't get broken in families, and we see the same patterns repeating themselves.
Well, this is interesting. I understand exactly where you're coming from. Maybe because we didn't have it, and that's why we are the opposite. I brought you girls, with a lot of love, a lot of encouragement, a lot of, we did everything for you, and we still do. We help you as much as we can. We hug you, we kiss you, even though you're in your, 30s and 40s. And when it comes to the grandchildren, even more so, we would, we can't get enough of them. We chase them around for kisses, which my mom and dad, I never remember them chasing me to give me a kiss. I would have loved that. But I remember the only time my dad showed, and I was very proud, he had a small garden in the house back home then, and he planted onions. Now, again, I was 6, 7, 8 in that sort of age group. Never knew anything about gardening or anything like that. And I do remember the spring onions they were actually onions, not spring onions, because I remember they grew quite tall, and the bulb, the round bit on the bottom, began to show up from the ground now that I know about onions. How I knew they were ready to be picked, I have no idea, or maybe I just...
manifested the onion?
So with a kitchen knife, the old-fashioned kitchen knife, which wasn't even pointy, the kind that you spread butter, the Cypriot kind of knife, I went into the yard, and it must have been, 5, 6, 7 square meters of onions.
I love how you just described a butter knife as a Cypriot knife. I think everyone has that. But I know the knife, it's got like the plastic yellow handle. It's in a lot of Greek households, but I'm sure it's just a butter knife, basically.
That's right. And it's slightly serrated, and, it never goes blunt kind of thing. I don't know how many hours it would have taken me, but with the knife, I harvested the whole onion patch. I harvested
Whoa.
all of them so that my dad, because he was always working, he will finish one job, his main job, and come home, and there were jobs for the neighbors because he was a builder, handyman, that sort of thing. And I remember when I did it, he was very proud that I did it. Well, you never expect a kid, a little boy with a knife, to harvest the whole onion yard. So he patted me on the back and bravo, Andrew, and I remember a few days later, he was doing a job at the neighbor's house, and I was there with him. I used to tag along to help or whatever, carry tools. And I remember he said to the neighbor, "Do you know what he did? By himself, he harvested the whole onions." And it made me and I remember I was feeling real proud inside me that he would talk to the neighbor and say that I did something good.
And how old were you?
Look, I would say around 7.
My dad has an incredible memory, and specifically for memories that have an emotion, because we are more likely to remember things that have a emotional component, like a visual component. Like he's described the onions, he's described the harvesting, he's described the feelings, the setting, all of that. And isn't that incredible that you remember that? And kids do. Kids remember these strong emotional moments, but you remember this one moment, he was so proud of you for harvesting the onions. Well done.
Thank you. Well, the earliest I can go back, and I do remember this, people sometimes say, but how can you remember that? It was preschool. So I guess you call it kinder or daycare or whatever it was. I would have been maybe 4 years old.
Yeah.
And we were going to have visitors in those days. A visitor would be middle-class ladies who did charity work, etc. And we were going to have visitors to see us. And the teachers, a teacher, a lady, I forget her name, of course, but she asked if any of the children knew any songs or poems that we could sing or recite for the visitors when they came. And I remember I knew this little poem that my granddad taught me. And I put my hand up and I said it, and he said, "Yes, you're going to do that." A little poem, just two or three lines about a son going to war. And it's a bit emotional. I mean, thinking about it now, it even stirs emotion.
And it's in Greek, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah.
2-3 line poem. I stood on they asked me to stand on the chair so the ladies in the front could see me. And I remember saying it and, putting my finger up and, and accenting the words. And they all clapped. And I felt on top of the world. And I remember my teacher, she gave me a kiss on the cheek for being, a star. And I fell in love with my teacher, and I was dreaming about her for months.
That's like what I told you about the other day, limerence, when you have like an obsession or infatuation about someone or a teacher or a person. Sounds like you had a bit of that, but that's so incredible you remember that. And I think when you think about parenting, it's so important to give your children love and affection and words of affirmation. And even if you didn't have it yourself, I think that you've done such a good job, Dad, to break the cycle, because I've never once thought, oh my God, I wish my parents hugged me more or kissed me more. It was just so normal growing up. And I'm really grateful for that.
Yes. I'm glad you 3 girls are pride and joy. You make us proud every day with your achievements, with the kind of person you are, the kind of people you turned out, and nothing makes us happier than seeing you all get on.
Oh, Dad, that's so sweet. And yeah, I feel the same way. I think it doesn't have to be anything major. Kids really absorb everything, and just saying, I'm proud of you today, or have a good day, or you can achieve anything you want. I remember my mum would always say, like, a strong mind always wins. And I didn't know what it meant at the time, but now I do, and I agree with it. So bringing it back to manifesting, let's talk a little bit about that. Basically, it is the idea that you can attract the things that you want in your life by using specific strategies. So such as visualization, using your senses, your vision, imagining what it would look like when you achieve the thing you want to achieve. Using your emotions. How will that moment feel? How will it feel winning that Easter hamper? How will it feel getting upgraded to business? How will it feel when you met the dream guy of your life? And by using all our senses, we really can train the brain to believe that it is already happening, because your brain uses the parameters you give it to see the world. So for example, if you are constantly going out every day saying, oh my God, I'm so fat, I'm so disgusting, people don't like me, your brain's going to look for information to validate those beliefs. So it'll look for the people who give you a weird look. It'll look for the fat on your body when you look in the mirror. It'll notice anything that doesn't go right in the day. Whereas, have you had one of those good days and everything just goes right? You hear your favorite song on the radio, you get that email you wanted to get, something good happened with a friend or, someone you're dating, and you just feel so good and nothing can bring you down. That's because, again, you're giving your brain parameters of good stuff to happen. You think good stuff's happening. You're like, this is the best day. And it keeps going, and it's this domino effect. And I really believe in it. And I think it is the type of thing you can train your brain to do. And a lot of people ask me, well, how do I do it? How do I manifest? Well, the first thing is to identify what it is you want. So whether it's winning an Easter hamper, like Dad said, or attracting a job, etc. And the second thing is visualization, really visualizing yourself. And what I loved with Dad's story was he did it every night. It wasn't just one thing, because, our brain that fires together gets wired together. So we want to continually give our brain information that is in line with what we want. So visualizing yourself winning the goal, visualizing yourself achieving it. And while you're just looking through, I guess, your eyes or visualizing, going through the feelings, how do you feel? Imagining it's already happened. So we want to take our brain into the future, because the brain doesn't know the difference between what's real and what's imagined. So taking our brain into the future, imagining it's there, and also our emotions, and then also our thoughts. What would you think when you got here? How do you feel when you got here? And you can also get a lot of these type of recordings from YouTube. You can just look up manifestation and really start to use this as practice. You can do it in the morning. I usually do it at night. And Dad, that's what I was going to say. You said you used to say to, please God, let this happen. I believe praying is a form of manifesting, because you're asking for what you want. Do you agree?
I agree. Actually, while listening to you now, and you asked me about the recent manifestation, it came back. As you know, not long ago, about 4 or 5 weeks ago, I had this problem in my garden with which I couldn't seem to solve with the water pipes. And I would agonize at night, and I would think, how can I solve this problem? It was a plumbing issue, and even the plumbers couldn't figure it out. We'd put a camera in there, we'd put high pressure cleaner to clean the problem if it was a blockage. But I would agonize, well, how can I solve it? How can I solve it? And then after speaking with you, actually, and you helped me a lot, I did come up with the solution, and together with the plumbers, we solved it. And this just goes to show, thinking, and I could see the problem being solved, and I could see the pavers that we had to dig out and the trenches we had to dig out. It was a big thing. It was all good.
Yes. And so Dad was going through some anxiety at the time, because he tends to catastrophize situations, and I gave him some calming strategies. And the thing is, you have to be in a relaxed state as well to problem solve. And this is why a lot of people live in stress, they live in anxiety, and you can't actually access the part of your brain you need to visualize and manifest if you're in a highly stressed state. So it's really important you train your brain to calm down through breathing techniques. You can check out my course, Unchain Your Brain. That's what it's all about, is calming the nervous system. And then you can attract the things you want in your life. And yeah, we've shared some examples today of how that has been done. Dad, thank you so much for being on the show. We absolutely love having you here. Any final words for the listeners or words of wisdom?
Well, have a lovely day. I'm going to miss you going to the Gold Coast again. But until we meet, goodbye and thank you. I loved the sessions with you.
Oh, Dad, thank you so much. And I'll be back probably in a month or so we can record some more then. Have a great day, guys. And if you haven't followed or liked or subscribed to the What is Eating You podcast, please do leave a rating. Let me know if you like these episodes with Dad, and I'll be sure to do more. Thanks so much. Bye.